So today, we're going to dive into this really powerful letter written by a father to his son's kindergarten teacher. It's a story all about culture, about misunderstanding, and really, it's a plea for us to see the world in a more compassionate way. Let's get into it.
Everything kicks off with this one just gut-wrenching question from a dad. His 5-year-old son has barely started school, and boom, a label has already been slapped on him. But you have to wonder, what does that label even mean?
The boy's name is Windwolf, and he's just 5 years old. He was born and raised on a reservation, and now, suddenly, he's thrown into this completely new and honestly confusing world, a Western classroom.
So from the teacher's point of view, he's quiet, he's shy, he's just not keeping up. But his father, he argues that this label totally misses who Windwolf really is. It sees a problem, when really, there's just a profound difference.
Okay, so to really get Windwolf, we have to get the world he comes from. Because his education didn't just start on the first day of kindergarten. No, it started the day he was born.
I mean, just look at this. It's a completely different kind of classroom, a whole different curriculum. Windwolf School has been the riverbank, the ceremony, the campfire. He's learned math by counting sacred stones. He's learned biology by watching his uncles fish. This is deep, real, hands-on learning.
And this is where you can really see the clash, right? The school says there are 12 months, but he knows there are 13 moons in a year. He might struggle to write his name on a piece of paper, but he can name over 40 different kinds of birds just by sight. He isn't disadvantaged, he's just working from a totally different and equally valid system of knowledge.
And this gets to the absolute heart of it. This isn't just about different facts, it's about entirely different worldviews. His culture tends to see the world as this interconnected cycle, deeply tied to nature. The school's view is often more linear, more hierarchical. Neither one is wrong, but man, are they different.
So what happens when these two massive worldviews slam into each other? Well, for a 5-year-old boy who's just trying to figure things out, it becomes a direct and really painful conflict.
I mean, this quote just says it all. This poor kid is literally stuck in the middle. He's being pulled in two completely different directions, and he's expected to make sense of it all.
In this conflict, it shows up in these small, daily cuts. His name, Windwolf, which is a huge part of his identity, just becomes a point of confusion and worse, ridicule from his classmates. His long hair, a symbol of strength in his culture, gets him mocked on the playground. And when he does what he's been taught to do his whole life, observe nature, he's told he's just daydreaming.
And you have to understand, these little moments, they don't just happen in a bubble. They're all symptoms of a much, much bigger societal problem. And that problem has a very real cost.
Get this. Windwolf tried to have a friend over to play, and this is what the other child's parent told his mother. Why? Because you are Indians and we are white. It's just a shocking, blunt, face-to-face rejection.
So let's just call it what it is. This is racism. It's prejudice, sure, but it's prejudice that has been put into action. It's all based on that toxic belief that one group is somehow better than another.
Can you imagine how that must feel for a little kid? That feeling of being an outsider, of being unwanted. It starts to sink in deep. He starts to feel like he just doesn't belong anywhere.
And that act, that moment of exclusion, is a textbook example of discrimination. It's so important to see that this isn't just about a bad thought or a private belief. It's a harmful action that directly impacts a child's life and his whole sense of safety in the world.
And the result of all this is, it's just devastating. To stop the pain, Windwolf starts rejecting everything about himself. The pride he once had in his culture is replaced by shame. The very things that made him who he is are now things he wants to get rid of.
And it's so important to connect Windwolf's personal story to the bigger picture. This intense pressure he's feeling to abandon his own culture, just to fit in, well, it has a name. It's called assimilation. And it has a long and often violent history.
So yeah, assimilation is this process of being absorbed. It essentially asks a person or a whole group of people to erase parts of who they are so they can become more like the dominant culture. And that is exactly the pressure that's crushing this 5-year-old boy.
But here's the thing, the father's letter, it doesn't end there, in all that pain and despair. It ends with a really powerful plea and a beautiful way of looking at what education could be.
This idea is so crucial. He's totally rejecting that old notion that kids are just empty vessels and a teacher's job is to pour knowledge into them. He's saying, no, my son is already full.
And there it is. This one idea just completely flips the script. Windwolf isn't a problem that needs fixing.
He's a gift. He's showing up with a basket that's overflowing with unique knowledge, culture, and experiences that could make the entire classroom richer if he's just given the chance to share it.
So you see, the father isn't just pointing out what's wrong. He's offering a solution. He's asking the teacher to work with him, to be a partner in this, to build a bridge through education and understanding, to move towards real reconciliation. He's extending a hand.
And that really brings it all back to us, doesn't it? Windwolf's story isn't just about one boy in one classroom. It's a challenge to all of us, to look at the kids in our schools and in our communities and ask ourselves, are we seeing them as empty glasses to be filled or as full baskets with something truly precious to share?